Comprehensible input sucks. For me, at least. I have been trying to learn languages for many years, and I have spent a lot of time going through different methods, whether that's flashcards, whether that's writing things down, and, of course, comprehensible input. And all of them were kind of meh. Some of them were a little bit better than others, but I have to be honest that whilst I found things like comprehensible input good for being able to recognize things such as words, sentences, etc., and kind of getting used to the sounds of the language, for being able to actually speak the language, I didn't find it particularly helpful. Now, I should add a caveat that this is entirely based around my own personal experience. If you are a language learner, you probably will have a slightly different experience than I do. Most likely because your brain works properly. My brain does not work properly. I have a poor memory for basically anything, and I have issues when it comes to speaking and communicating. And so because of those things, I find speaking, especially a new language, incredibly difficult. But what I have found, and something that actually boosted my Japanese from can say a few sentences to actually being able to speak properly, was actually challenging myself to speak, which sounds like a strange thing. But what I would do is I would go on things like Twitch with people who were speaking Japanese, and I would speak with them. And even just the act of that helped me to learn more and more. Now, I have been taking this to a different level. And this is where I come to a different understanding about language learning. Something that I have found really beneficial for myself is saying things as I play video games and narrating the video game to myself. Usually I'll just record it and then listen to it back later. But by doing that, I have found that I have retained huge amounts of information, and I am able to actually speak. And by being repetitive with my speech, I'm getting the hang of it until it gets to the point that it just comes out naturally. And this is where we get to my main point of this video, which is that the most important thing for learning a language, like learning guitar or learning how to drive, is muscle memory, I believe. So when I speak Japanese now, there are times where I have to actively try and recall words, but oftentimes it just comes out of my mouth, almost like spittle. But I found that by doing it like that, by training my body to almost be speaking autonomously, that is how I have been able to get to N1 level of Japanese. Now, I haven't yet taken the N1 test. I have passed the N2, and I passed it a number of years ago. But I think that if I were to take the N1 test, I might pass, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. Though some of the more advanced keigo might be a bit challenging. But I digress. The point is not that I think that comprehensible input is necessarily evil or bad or it doesn't work for anybody. It's not that, but it doesn't work very well for me. Neither do flashcards. If I start using flashcards, I fall asleep. Literally, like my brain just shuts off. It's like time to go into low power mode. So flashcards don't work. Writing doesn't work for me. I've tried to do the writing, the journaling and stuff. It doesn't work. The only thing I've found that really truly helps me to get or gain mastery in a language is speaking. So you could call it maybe comprehensible output, but I don't know if that's really the right. I mean, it's something that you find comprehensible and you're outputting. So maybe that works. But the point is that output, I have found, is far better than input. And more I am finding that to be true, at least in my case. If there's anybody else like me out there that struggles with language learning, maybe comprehensible input alone is not your best friend. Perhaps what you could do is do both. It's always good to have a wide variety of sources anyway. So listening is good because you get that sort of listening training and your brain starts to recognize things. But speaking is really important. I also find speaking to be really tough because, as the channel description says, I suspect that I'm autistic. So I have trouble in social situations. I always have. And I can't bring up words when I want to speak. I don't know what I'm meant to say. I always get lost. And so, for example, when I go to a clinic in Japan where I live, I find that I will get stuck and I can't speak. And they'll ask me what my date of birth and stuff is. And I know what it is in Japanese. And they'll ask me what my name is. And I'll just be like, The thing is, if I don't have the pressure of the social situation, it's not a problem. Watashi no namae wa ba 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 ba. But when it is a situation where I am in a social situation, I find it really difficult to speak. So this is why I don't necessarily recommend going straight into language lessons. They can be helpful, but I also think that there's an issue with language lessons and language learning in a sort of academic setting or a setting where you're paying money, essentially. A lot of those places are not looking for people to progress as much as they are looking for people to continue coming and paying money. So my suggestion is as follows. This is what I do. I will play a game such as Minecraft, and I will narrate what I'm doing in Minecraft with the words that I have, and I will also have a new list of words that I will incorporate and continually mention over and over again for the length of about 20 minutes. And as I continue doing that, I am repeating things, I'm saying the words again, but I'm trying not to look at the list. I'm trying to recall these things from memory. And I find that by doing that, repeating these things and trying to recall without looking, it sticks in my mind much better than if I were to be studying in a traditional sense. Like, okay, now repeat. I don't find that terribly helpful myself. Like, I have a person that I speak to in Japanese once a week, and he has tried to teach me things. And unless I write it down and then study it later, I don't remember. I won't remember a bloody thing. And so he'll use the same word later, and I'm like, what? For example, kubo, which is a aircraft carrier. He used that like every week for 4 weeks in a row, and I'm just like every time, a what? Nice on it. But that was really problematic. And so I wrote it down, and I would play video games, and I'd say, これはkubo janai, これはkubo janai, これはkubo janai, like that. And I'd just say, that's not, this isn't a aircraft carrier, this isn't an aircraft carrier, just little sentences like that. And then over time, my ability to remember and recognize things gets better. Now, that's not to say that you're going to remember everything. I don't. I always forget things. But I notice that I can recognize things better, which is really, really important. Being able to recognize things is the first step towards being able to remember it, ad infinitum or ad infinitum. The thing is, there is no perfect way of studying, but there are ways that can suit one's personal ability or one's brain, one's way of thinking, etc. So before people get hooked on one method, I definitely recommend trying different methods. Comprehensible input can be part of a balanced diet, but I wouldn't rely on it entirely. Just like fiber is important, but eating just fiber is not good for you. It's the same sort of thing. And think about language learning much like you would think about any other sort of physical skill. Repetition is important. We're trying to gain that sort of muscle memory where you don't have to think about it anymore. It just comes out. 急に、自然に出てくるとか. So it comes out naturally. Sometimes switching between languages is really tough for me. And sometimes I find when I am visiting a different country, like I'm back in my home country, I will accidentally add Japanese words. I don't mean to. Or I'll try and remember something that I'm trying to say to my mother, but the only word that comes out is Japanese. Or in Japan, the only word that comes out is the English word. So sometimes language learning can be a little bit confusing. So my advice at the end of the day, if you're learning a language, try different methods. Learn how you learn. Think about how you learn. Don't go based on what other people say. Listen to what they say, give it a try. If it's not giving you results, let it go. Don't focus on it. Just try something else. That's fine. Like Duolingo to me was about as helpful as watching wet paint fart. I don't know, but it wasn't helpful at all. So I stopped. It wasn't doing what I wanted. Memrise and all of those sort of flashcard apps, Anki, for example, not doing what I needed, not doing what I wanted. But this method that I'm doing right now, this kind of active recall style of learning where I am essentially teaching myself through reading sentences and explaining things, is very helpful. If you found the video to be helpful, I've used helpful 2 times in the last 5 seconds. Yay! Please consider subscribing or liking the video and all of that sort of stuff that YouTube likes, I suppose. I also have another channel, which is Arthur the Angry Octopus, where I post all sorts of things, such as my language learning journeys and tips for language learning. I also have some videos on there about autism and OCD and things like that, though I'm considering putting more of that stuff on this channel, hence creating the channel, because I don't know if I want to have all of my stuff on one big channel. So this is why I'm kind of considering splitting them up. But the big issue is that the stuff about mental health is often a lot more popular than the stuff about learning Coptic or Nahuatl. So I suspect my main channel will become my sub channel, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. I've also got a Gallic channel. Yeah, I learn a lot of languages. I'm a bit crazy like that.